Hello. So I got a little bit nostalgic, and after not not logging in for like at least, I don't know if it's the right number, it's probably like 4 years. Somehow, I remembered Rift, the MMO that I used to play once upon a time, and had some, fond memories. And I mean, probably the title is gonna inform you why this is so hard. And anyway, so I thought that I was gonna reinstall it, and I did install the launcher, the Glyph launcher. I was thinking about the standalone launcher and the Steam, just putting it on Steam, but there were like some mentions of issues, which is like obviously in hindsight, right? It's not that those issues were not real, but then as it turns out, I had a much bigger issue in the end that I only found out after the mistake or the disaster is already struck. And I just thought, hey, let's do the Glyph, because I remember that I was using the launcher, standalone launcher, and everything was mostly fine. So I did that, and then I selected where I wanna install the game, and usually I make a separate folder. Like, for example, it would be E, if it was a E drive, and then I would just make a Rift folder, and then I would put it in the Rift folder, or maybe I would make a separate folder. I'm not even sure if it would have helped, because it just created a Rift folder, so I think the issue would have been just exactly the same anyway. So that part might not actually be relevant, or it might not have made a difference. So what happened is I put it there, and I started the installation, and it took quite a long time. Like, it was barely even moving, and the estimated time kept going up. It was like then at like 130, but then it started going up, and it went up like 200 minutes, and then it kept going up. So I thought, hey, let's just cancel it. Let's just cancel it, and then let's just uninstall the Glyph and the related stuff from the PC, and then I'm just gonna do the Steam version. Maybe that's gonna be faster. And so I canceled the download. I went to the uninstall Glyph. That obviously came up with the launcher in the start menu. So I opened up the start menu, and there was the uninstall Glyph right there. So I just clicked that, and there were two options: uninstall Glyph or uninstall Glyph and all the games. I mean, I could check the wording. I don't. It would be proper to check the wording, but for that I would have to reinstall it again and then show what the uninstall does. I don't know. That would be the proper way to do it, the reasonable way. But this at the moment, it's just very very hard, very hard to think about it or like really relive the experience. Let's say, even if it's obviously not the same, and that experience is pretty apparent. There were the two options, like I said, uninstall Glyph or uninstall Glyph and all the games. And I clicked the second option because I thought, hey, there might have been already some fold files, and obviously in hindsight, I'm thinking if it was only on the checking files part of the process and it was stuck there, then probably there isn't even any real files there. It made like a glyph folder in there in the drive, and it made a glyph folder. But I foolishly assumed that if it gives you the option that you can uninstall Glyph and the related games, then it will know what are the related games. But what happened is that it deleted everything in the drive, like literally everything. And like there were not like vitally important files in there in a way that something in a like a machine breaks somewhere because the files are missing, or some actual mm, like something outside of my own life breaks, or something goes missing. But it was uh like all kinds of things that added up over the years, and obviously at this point I don't even know everything what was there. Like I'm sure there were some photos there, some you know note musings, like all kinds of random things over the years, screenshots from like tournament stuff. If we go just purely by size, the main thing I think those were the videos or like recordings. And out of those, most of them went up on YouTube, and most of them I put up on YouTube. Not all of them, but most of them. There were a few videos that I just recorded and then I ended up never putting up. So those are gone. Like there are some. I tried to be, and in hindsight, I tried to be at least with the membership photos. Like you have those your membership photos in like the Hololive members that you have, like for example, now we have what, September, let's say, like let's say last month, August wallpaper, right? And then you have a limited amount of time to actually download it in November. And I try to be, for the most part, just have it on both places, right? Like I have it on one drive and then I have it on the other drive as well. And then obviously this whole thing is, it can be easily put to rest with you should just have all the files that you don't want to lose. You should just have them on, at least on like multiple separate drives, but ideally in like multiple locations. And then we go into the whole, you should just have X amount of drives, and just have one here and then one there, and have everything 2 times 3 times copied in case something happens with one of them. But the reality is sad, reality is that at the moment I have an SSD that's like what, half terabyte, and then I just have an old laptop drive. I mean, not that old, like it's working fine, but I have a laptop drive. Like basically, I'm looking at the moment, obviously with over provisioning for the SSD, I'm seeing 417 gigabytes on the SSD, and then the laptop, tiny, small laptop, like 2.5 form factor HDD that's just basically sitting there on top of a bigger one that actually fits into the bracket, but that's not really functional anymore. It's just sitting on top of that, and that has 465 gigabytes. And then if you think about, just trying to do the recording stuff, and I try to be like even those that I put up, I guess even those I didn't really wanna delete unless it was very necessary. And then there are other things that I might not put up, that but I still wanted to keep them just in case. Not necessarily because they are all that important in the grand scheme of things, but at the same time, we are here in 2025, September 8th. For example, if I just recorded something like a few years ago, let's say, even if it's silly or unimportant in the grand scheme of things, if I can, and if I ended up recording that, I would prefer to keep it still. And so yeah, like with the place that those are taken up, and those can just, even if you have pretty bad quality still, for the most part, it still can take up a lot of space. And obviously if you're talking about like higher definition stuff, it takes insane amounts of space. So yeah, I'm not really trying to excuse it or anything. It's just the low amount of storage space that I have at the moment, and also like trying to keep all that stuff is led to the situation where I don't really have everything in multiple places. And also I know it again might be silly. I'm lucky, but I'm hoping, because okay, so what I'm trying to say is that I'm making screenshots, obviously, about all kinds of things, and I'm glad that at least most of those are here and safe on the other drive, because at least I did not put it on the drive where I have Windows installed and everything. At least I did not put the folder in the SSD, because if I did that, then I probably would be even more sad, even more crushed, and then I would also have to reinstall everything, and that would be also its own kind of trouble. But I'm sure that there are there were things on the other drive that cannot be replicated, or like things that you can't get back. It's all kind of weird, right? Like you have things that you might not be using in your everyday life. Like there might be pictures that you didn't look at for a while, but then they are gone, and they are gone. Like even with our memories, just try to hold on to as much of them as we can. Sometimes with physical or like metaphysical aids like pictures, notes, just tiny footprints in all kinds of ways, and then obviously in our heads as well. But I think most of us cannot, even as much as they want, we can't really just remember everything. Even many things that should be remembered, like many things that we want to remember. So yeah, I am pretty sad that it happened, or this happened. Obviously, like I could be angry and the software working the way it does, or the way it did. If you want to be more morbid about it, you can say that technically it did what it said it would, because it did delete the Glyph launcher, and it did delete the game folder, but it also deleted everything else on the drive that was like basically in the vicinity of the game folder. And obviously when this happened, I tried to see if it happened to someone else, and I found a Reddit thread with like a few replies as well that it happened to them too. It was basically a similar process. They chose the second option with the Glyph launcher uninstaller, and then it deleted everything in the folder. Like the one who made the post, they had it in like the drive and then slash games, the games folder. So it deleted everything in the games folder. Obviously, that is also very, very annoying. Your games deleted, and all the saves. And I suppose the saves also have their own sentimental value, aside from the necessity of having to play it from the beginning if you lose all the save files. So I'm sure that's also sentimental value in its own way. It's like I'm not trying to compare who had it worse, but I do know that it feels pretty bad. And then there was someone else who actually had it on their on the same drive as the Windows, and then they just had everything basically deleted and corrupted, and then they had to reinstall. So, but the sad thing is, like, even if you make something like this, even if you make a thread or make a video, something, when it happens to you, it's just not really something that would come to mind before. Like you don't really expect this to happen, so you're not gonna pre-check, most likely, that if I click this option, then will I delete everything, or will I just delete the game? Like, obviously, in hindsight, there's a million things, right? Because like I could just not click that option, right? Or just manually delete everything. Like, obviously, that's also something that I've done like many times. Or maybe maybe try to uninstall it in a different way. It's just you know it sucks. It just sucks. Like I said, there's like all kinds of things there that disappeared. I got lost. and I was really, it felt really bad when I see that everything is, as everything it disappears, and then I'm sitting there and there's no like return, right? Like if you because if you do that and you would just like go straight up and you go and delete it, then it just puts it into the recycle bin, and then you still have the option to bring it back. But this one, it just say it just uninstalled everything. Like you don't have an option of just bringing it back. Like it doesn't go into the recycle bin. It just deletes everything straight up. No mercy, no retry, no bringing it back from the no bringing it back from the uninstall bin or anything. Like I'm really curious about the wording now. I'm just gonna check. I don't even no. I wanted to check, but I don't even want to install it anymore. No, no, not even to check, because I know I gave, so like there was a Glyph installer. I gave that. I put that into onto the E drive, and I didn't make like separate folder for it because the assumption is that if I don't make like a folder in Glyph, and if I so like if I when I selected the drive, it said that e/ and it's e/ Glyph, right? So it just gonna make the folder, and then for the game, I put it straight up into the E drive onto the E drive, and I didn't give any additional path. I didn't make like a new folder for it. But again, it just made a rift one, and then I don't know if I like make a rift and then I put another rift folder into the rift folder. Then I can like kind of protect it from this stupidity. But I didn't know, so I didn't. And when I asked it to uninstall, I guess I'm curious about the wording. So I'm just gonna throw it into the E folder, E drive again. Like let's say if I select folder and it's gonna make the slash thingy, backslash or slash, doesn't really matter. Okay, it works. Okay, we do that. And it's gonna launch. And what I'm curious about is like so yeah, it gives recommended uninstall Glyph. And then when I click on it, it gives two options. Yes, I'm gonna put it as a thumbnail. So these are the options. Are you sure you want to uninstall Glyph? And there's like two options. Both of them has you have the administrator signal next to it, so it's like admin action. Uninstall Glyph only. Glyph will be removed, but all Glyph games will be preserved. And the other option is uninstall Glyph and all Glyph games. Glyph and all Glyph games will be removed. And when I clicked that option, it deleted everything in the drive. Everything. So yeah, that is quite unacceptable. I would say. So yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of it. Just straight up. If I go into the settings and I try to remove it from there, let's see what happens there. You cannot find it. All right. All right. So now I removed it manually install, and now it's just stuck there. So I'm gonna just have to get rid of it later. But yeah. So that's what happened. That's what happened. So yeah, I'm just gonna give the rundown again. I got nostalgic a little bit. I thought I was gonna reinstall Rift. I look back a little bit, just messed around with it, and then probably that would be it. After like 4 years of staying away, and then I installed the launcher, and then I tried to install the game through the standalone launcher. It was really slow, so I thought I was gonna delete Glyph and like all the game stuff, game folders, and then start again with the Steam version. And I clicked on the uninstaller. I clicked on uninstall Glyph and all Glyph games, and it deleted everything from the drive. Yeah, again the wording is uninstall Glyph and all Glyph games. Glyph and all Glyph games will be removed. Yeah, I mean, it is technically correct. It did remove it, but it also removed everything else on the drive. And yeah, I'm very sad. Yeah, that's it. Bye.